Hey there ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bearded Gamer, and today we'll be looking at 5 games that will mess with your head one way or another, also unofficially known as Mindfuck. Now, whether a game is considered to be Mindfuck or not is a matter of opinion, but I've chosen 5 that made me go, whoa, holy
fudge,
either because of their concept, ending, design, or all of the above. I tried to also include games of different styles, and good news, they also happen to have really low system requirements, so you'll be able to try them out without having an Uber gaming PC. In the game The Fall, you play as a spacesuit with an embedded AI called Arid, whose sole purpose is to do whatever it takes to ensure the safety of the human inside it. There isn't a backstory to the game that I'm aware of. It literally starts with the suit floating in space, then falling towards the ground, at which point the suit takes over. Right before hitting the ground, it detects that the impact will kill the human, therefore enables one of the suit's safety features to absorb the hit. From this point on, you're on a mission to get your human access to some form of medical care, and you need to do it in a timely fashion before your human perishes. While progressing through the game, you start to realize that something strange is going on. What is this facility you happen to fall in? Why are there other identical unpowered suits here but no humans? At all. As if the general atmosphere wasn't weird enough, the background ambience adds to the mystery and definitely suits the game. Although The Fall was released in 2014, the required specs are rather low. You'll need a 2.5 GHz dual-core CPU, 3 GB of RAM, and a GeForce 8600 or equivalent. The 8600 is 12 years old, so it's safe to assume that any PC with integrated graphics from 2013 onwards should be okay. In the end, maybe it's the ambience, maybe it's the weird setting, maybe it's the fact that you don't have a backstory to explain how you got there, but you will end up thinking about the game and wanting more answers. The good news is that a sequel has been released and is now available on Steam. I haven't played that one yet, but if you're thirsty for answers, maybe you should.
Keeping from him, and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number.
I was really surprised when I checked out the required specs for the Stanley Parable. On one hand, it looks good enough to make me think that it would require a PC with a little bit of oomph, but surprisingly enough, well, it doesn't. Since I started off with the specs, let me just get them out of the way real quick. You'll need a 3 GHz dual-core CPU, 2 GB of RAM, and Intel HD Graphics 2000 or better. Better than Intel HD 2000 is practically any GPU that still actually works to this day. Now, let's see what the game is all about. You play as Stanley, who works for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room
427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses,
he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. And this is where the weirdness begins. I won't tell you too many details about what happens and what you're supposed to do, because not only might that ruin the okay moment for you guys, but to be honest, everything will become crystal clear just a few seconds after you exit your office. You'll understand what I mean if you try the game out, which you should if you're into these types of games, which you are since you're watching this video.
Gotcha! Oh, come on.
Parallax is the closest game to Antechamber in terms of concept and art style that I was able to find. You are located in a black and white world where in order to complete each puzzle, you will need to use all sorts of switches, gravity, and also portals that lead to other dimensions. Fantastic! The required specs are so low that not only will your potato PC run it, but you might be able to run it on an actual potato. You'll need a 1.4 GHz CPU, 512 MB of RAM, and any GPU that supports Shader Model 2, or in other words, any PC that turns on. No real storyline in Parallax, just really weird gameplay and an interesting concept. Actually, what's your opinion on this one? Is it a mindfuck game or just a really weird puzzle game? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Gorogoa, beautiful, mesmerizing, genius. If you look at a screenshot of it, you'll probably think that it's just another point and click game, but it's not. It's so much more. You see, Gorogoa is played through 4 tiles on the screen, no 3D graphics or anything. There are pictures on those tiles which you need to combine somehow so they interact with each other. These pictures though are not random. You will need to pay attention to details. It might be one tile's open door seems to align with another tile's staircase, move one on top of the other, and suddenly these two merge, creating a new area. This will give the protagonist the option to do things or go to places that were not even there a moment ago. As you progress, you'll find all sorts of different ways that tiles can be combined. You will need to zoom in and out, move the pictures from tile to tile, and most importantly, think. Sure, there will be some trial and error, but the combinations ultimately make sense. It's mind-blowing how immersive a point-and-click picture game can be when executed correctly. As far as the required specs go, you'll need a 1 GHz processor, 512 MB of RAM, and practically any GPU. Even older netbooks shouldn't have an issue running Gorogoa. The Swapper is a side-scrolling sci-fi puzzle game set in space, where you possess a weapon which, unlike most games, does not fire bullets. Instead, it creates clones of yourself which emulate your every move and which you can take control of, or swap your entire consciousness into, as the game's description puts it. As you can imagine, this is how you will be solving the necessary puzzles in order to progress through the game. Obviously, the further you go, the more complicated things get. There will be limitations as to where you can create your clones and whether swapping to them will be an option. But hey, it wouldn't be much of a puzzle game if there weren't any obstacles to overcome. The background ambience fits perfectly with the tone of the game, something that good mindfuck games usually pay a lot of attention to. Although the game is 2D, as in you only move in 2 directions, the art design is so good that you still feel the depth or size of each area you're located in, and this is key to really getting into the story and enjoying the game as if you're actually there. And what's even better is that the swapper will run on almost any PC that has a dual-core CPU, 1GB of RAM, and any GPU from 2010 or later, such as a GeForce 8800. In fact, on Steam, the game's developer specifies that even though Intel HD graphics are not officially supported, if you have an Intel HD 3000 GPU or better, then chances are that the game will run, but no guarantees.
See your rescue team as I am.
So, what other mindfuck games do you guys have to recommend? I'm really into super weird games, so any recommendations will be highly appreciated. Also, a quick question for you guys. While I was searching through forums to get ideas for this video, I saw a lot of debates about whether the Portal games are considered to be mindfuck or just puzzle games. Are these two categories considered to be the same thing, or do they just have some similarities? How about System Shock? Mindfuck or action/puzzle? Let me know in the comments. Alrighty, so you've made it to the end of the video, so good news, there's a giveaway. Anyone who leaves a comment and is also subscribed will be eligible to receive a copy of the Stanley Parable. Also, with the new changes in YouTube's monetization policy, a channel needs to have at least 1,000 subscribers to be allowed to monetize its content, so any subscription will be greatly appreciated. Anyhow, that's gonna be it for now, guys. Thank you all for watching. This is the Bearded Gamer, over and out.